The one thing I think sometimes gets misconstrued, though, is that God gives us a plan because we messed up.
There's a path that starts and finishes, but there are lots of paths that go in between it.
How do you know? Like, how do you know you can hear the Master's voice now and you're in the middle of your Missio Day doing what God has asked you to do?
Hey, welcome to the Press On Podcast with Pastor Chad, Pastor Jordan, and my incredible daughter, Giovanna. This is our talk called Everybody Needs a Dad. We're going to talk about a few things today with the Missio Day and any other questions my daughter has for me and Pastor Jordan wants to throw my way. Hey, Pastor Jordan, tell us what's going on at Chickasha First in the month of March.
Man, we got a lot going on.
What we got?
So on the 22nd, we have our Next Gen Takeover. We do that, and every month there's a fifth Sunday. It's not on
every
the fifth
month.
Sunday. It's not on the fifth Sunday this month.
Okay.
Because we have more things planned for this
Gotcha.
month. But we're going to have students and kids serving in all areas of ministry on that Sunday.
Love it.
Worship team, production team, coffee shop, all the things. And then because it's not going to be on the fifth Sunday, we have something else planned. Project Hope is kicking off. That's the outreach ministry here
Yeah,
at
so
Chickasha
looking forward
First.
to knocking doors and doing kids ministry on the
Yeah.
streets.
Absolutely. We're going to do the Good News Crew at Hope Street. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have a guest speaker, Jamel Crawford. He's going to be bringing the word.
Yeah, compassion director for the Network of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Super cool dude.
Amazing dude.
Yeah.
He's going to be bringing the word, just talking about evangelism and what that means. And he's going to be talking a little bit about what his story
And
is.
that's on the 29th?
That's on the 29th. But on the 28th, we're going to have a Project Hope Serve Day.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing some stuff here at the church, and we're also going to be doing some stuff around the community, helping and serving in whatever capacity we can.
Hey, once more, welcome to the Press On Podcast. It's really founded in Philippians chapter 3:12, where Paul tells the church, not that I've already obtained all this, but I press on to make Christ my own as he has already made me his own. Really, this idea is that God has arrested us, or God has pressed himself into us, and so he's asking us to do the next thing, and that is really kind of the context of Missio Day, which we're talking about for the month of March. G, what do you understand about the Missio Day?
I understand that it's the mission of God.
So what does that mean?
So, like, the mission God has put in front of us to do.
So do we all have a mission?
I mean, yeah, we all have a purpose,
How do you know that?
because that's what.
That's what God said?
Yeah.
Jordan, being the incredible youth pastor you are, like, how do you help your students understand what Missio Day means?
I mean, really, it's first like saturated in prayer, because it's hard for us to understand, like what he wants us to do without asking him. But really, it's just the fact of understanding, like you're not here just to be here. Like he didn't create Adam from like dirt to just say live. Like there's a reason that you were formed in your mother's womb, and you were carefully crafted, and so yeah, I think it's always understanding how we started. That it wasn't just like
A
Hey.
random thought?
you, like he formed us and like thought about the things that would happen in our lives, and looked at the things that would happen in our lives. And so I think it's first and foremost, like we talk all the time about who we are, like
Our identity?
our identity,
Mhm.
because that's like right now the most construed thing in the world is they're trying to take away what God truly wants you to be. And so I think before we understand our purpose, we have to understand who we are.
Yeah, so John chapter 17 is where we're at for the month. Jesus says in verse 6, actually says it a bunch of times in chapter 7 or 17, that I've been sent. And that word sent there is the word that we get, apostle. It's one who speaks on behalf of another, has all the full rights and responsibilities of the one who is sending. And Jesus is acknowledging in his own life that he has been sent from the Father, that he is taking on the responsibility and the authority that the Father is placing on him to do something, which really is what you're talking about, this identity thing, that I've been given a purpose, I've been given a plan. One thing I think sometimes gets misconstrued, though, is that God gives us a plan because we messed up, right? Ever felt that?
Mhm.
Like I messed this up, so now I have to do this thing. But we need to be reminded from the very beginning, Genesis chapter 1, God looked at creation, right, and all its non-formedness, all its messed upness, goes, I want to create human life so that it can be a master of what's on the ground, be the master of what's in the air, be a master of what's in the sea,
Yeah.
and they would be fruitful and multiply. Before there was ever a mess, right,
Yeah.
God already had a purpose.
Yeah.
Right. So before our life was ever messed up, God had a purpose for it. That was Jeremiah. It says, I knew you were in your mother's womb, right? Before you even formed, I knew exactly what you needed to be. As a teenage girl in America,
Yo.
do you feel like you have a purpose?
Yeah.
How?
What do you mean, like, how?
How do you feel like you have a purpose? Like, do you know what you're going to do when you're 25?
I mean, I have an idea of what I would like to know. Yes, but like I don't know.
How did you formulate that?
Well, it's out of things that like I want to do and out of things that I'm good at. So like I enjoy talking to people, so I want to talk to people the rest of.
You want to talk to people for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
That sounds really boring.
Okay, that's technically what you do. So okay.
So what do you mean talk to people for the rest of your life?
Like counseling, like I like hearing people's stories. I like being able to help people. I have a problem with wanting to fix everyone, so counseling in my head is like the best way to go.
So do you see like the Missio Dei for God? God's mission for Giovanna is what?
To counsel people, but to
Okay.
counsel people with the mindset of they're not the ones that can fix themselves. They can look to God to fix them, but that's not very popular where we are right now.
So with that understanding, like the Missio Dei is something that God has already established, predestined. That's a funky word that reformists use and other people don't like to use. But really the idea is like we've been given a purpose in our life, the identity thing that you were talking about a while ago. How, if we understand, if God has put that inside of us, if God has promised that part of our identity, how do we rectify in our mind when things don't go according to our plan? So you've got a college in mind that you want to go for counseling. You don't get accepted to the college, right? You've got in mind what you want to see happen in ministry. You feel called to youth ministry. It doesn't go according to plan. How do we translate in our mind? Well, it didn't work out that way. It didn't work out the way we wanted. How does that fit within the context of Missio Dei?
So we move on.
Do you move on?
I mean, yes.
So you
that
just
would
stop
be-
being a counselor?
No, but you move on from that part of life. Like if that stopped working, that's a door that's shut. You go to the next.
So how do you make that translate for your life?
Well, in my head, if it's not supposed to happen, then it's not gonna happen. And if it's like I did everything I could to get into that college and it didn't happen, that must be God's plan. Because God knows what I'm thinking. God predestined what's supposed to happen.
Yeah. So one of the concepts of the Missio Dei is it's out of your hands, right? Now, does that mean he removes free will from you?
No, not at all.
Why is that?
Because he gives us free will in every single thing. But there's a path that starts and finishes, but there are lots of paths that go in between it. But the whole goal is the end of that path at the very beginning. He created us to just go straight from A to B.
Right.
Sin into the world, and we.
So let's take the first Missio Dei, right?
Yeah.
Humanity born in a garden,
Mm-hmm.
asked to repopulate or populate the earth and control everything in it, right? Did they do that? You're shaking your head no.
Did they do it the way God intended them to?
I'm asking the question.
Well, if you're going off what like Jordan said, that means like Eve created the multiverse. We like go from like multiple different directions, but on the same original.
Did we
path.
populate the earth?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did it happen the way God necessarily wanted it?
Oh, okay.
No.
So what messed up the way that God wanted it?
We did.
How?
The
By
apple.
disobeying.
The apple. We disobeyed, right? So we had choice. We had choice in the matter. But if he doesn't give us choice, he's not a loving God, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He's just we're just his AI.
Yeah. That.
Yeah.
Well, you laugh, but it's
Yeah.
It's true.
right?
It's better. It's
We've
better
determined
for us to not be
we've been
nice.
predetermined
Mm.
the rules of engagement,
Yeah.
but we actually have free will and the choice of engagement.
Yeah.
But there is a plan for us, a directive for it. That is the missio Dei, the plan of God,
Mhm.
right? The direction that He has for us. If that's the case, and we have a choice to play, then do we necessarily get to determine the rules of engagement?
Like how we go about that plan. Is that what you're saying?
so she's got a college selected,
Yeah.
and it's not the college that God has for her.
Yeah.
And she said, I got all the, if every door is closed, that could be a possibility.
Mhm.
But she has a choice whether or not she's going to go headstrong into it.
Yeah.
You just force your way in, even though God's shut the doors. I mean, do you have a choice in that?
Yeah. I chose to do that.
Right? Could it lead to more difficulties?
Yes.
Being kicked out of the garden and sweat of your brow and toil of the earth,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you could still accomplish the end mission, but it just be harder in process.
It's harder to get there.
Harder to get there, right?
Right.
Does your will actually conflict with what God's wanting to do?
It can.
How?
It can be like based off of our desires of what we want, how successful we want to be.
But God says He'll give us the desires of our heart.
Yeah, and sometimes those desires are bad.
Sometimes those desires are what?
Bad.
Bad. We love the quote that He'll give us the desires of our heart, but we don't like to finish that quote. He gives us the desires of our heart as long as we long and seek after Him. So why is that the difference?
I mean,
Longing and seeking.
you're not going to know, like all you're going to have is fleshly desires if you're not longing and seeking for Him. It's like you're not going to have like the desires of the passions that He's already like in place in you. So like she would never know, like if she's not longing for Christ, that she has a passion to counsel people and help people through trauma or whatever it is, and just be an open hand to talk to. So it's all about like, where are you longing? Who are you seeking?
Yeah. So I've said for years as a youth pastor, this is a whole lot easier conversation with students
Yeah.
than it is adults.
Mhm.
Show me your friends.
Yeah, more so like it is easier for me to convince a student that the desire they have, if they haven't sought God about and they haven't longed for what He wants to do in their life, that desire they have may not actually be found in Him.
Mhm.
Right? To an adult, they think they're right. And so they're trying to conform God's will or the missio Dei of God to what they want without understanding the missio Dei, God's mission, is His mission.
Yeah.
It's what He wants, right? Romans chapter 12, I make my life a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing unto Him, so that I can test and approve what His perfect will is for my life. Well, that is worship. Worship is radical expression of loyalty and obedience to your Lord, right?
Yeah.
So how do we know God's will? We show radical obedience to our Lord.
Yeah.
So if I actually want my desires to come true, God give me the desires of my heart, I got to long and seek. I'm actually placing myself at the closest possibility to hear Him,
Mhm.
right? And I'm closest to Him to know what His actual missio Dei is for my life. So is it then necessarily what I want to do or what He wants to do in and through me?
What He wants to do.
Because you kind of also have to surrender your desires, what you think your plan is for your life. Because you have to, like, at the moment when you're like, it's all about me, you'll never like grasp like what it is that He wants for you.
Yeah, which is the missio Dei, right?
Yeah.
It's what His movement in our life. We talked a little bit this last Sunday about our history, our church history.
Mhm.
It was founded in 1916 from some evangelists that were a group of the 140 people that met in Heart Springs, Arkansas for the Assemblies of God in 1914. And those people planted a storefront church. And then from that storefront church, another guy came in who was evangelist, really planted the church in 1918 on the north side of town. And in 1930, they moved the building to the second story of a radiator shop. And then by 1940, they have a building on 5th in Colorado. And in 1980s, they built this building. All of it's been God's plan. It's always been God's mission to reach Chickasha, Oklahoma for Christ, right? That is the Missio Dei. But who's been responsible for growing the church? People? God? The Holy Spirit? Who's responsible?
Who's been responsible?
Yeah.
Who is responsible?
Who is or who was? Who's going to be?
Us. Like us through the mission of God. Like he's given us the mission to reach the lost of Chickasha, of Chickasha proper and of the surrounding communities. And if we're not getting out of the seat and preaching the gospel.
So back to this free will choice, right? Yeah. Are we not willfully wanting to do the thing that he's calling us to reach people for Christ, right? We could take a back seat as a church and just say that's going to be what it's going to be, which is very fatalistic.
So like that means we have the determination to like not let God's will happen whatsoever if we move.
Do you have a choice to play in letting God move in your life?
Yeah, that's well.
So do we not have a choice as a church not to let God move in our community?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which, again, the Missio Dei, it's his mission.
Yeah.
And it's how he wants to do it, right? So Paul told told the church in Corinth in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, Apollos I watered, and Apollos, reaped. He also talks about how some of you listen to Peter, some of you listen to me, some of you listen to Apollos. We all have a part to play, but who's responsible for the harvest? God. Right? But I can willfully and wantingly not get involved, right? I can ignore the mission that God has for me, or I can stay so close to him and so attuned to him, I know exactly where he's wanting to go next. Right? So what would be the hard part for a Christ follower understanding about the Missio Dei? What part probably is like the most aggravating part of that?
It doesn't look how.
Yeah. Right?
The time you think that you have is not going to be the time you think you have.
Yeah. Which I always refer to, the disciples asked Jesus, how are we going to pray? Matthew 6 is the Sermon on the Mount.
Yeah.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name, your kingdom come. And then I still contend the hardest part of that entire prayer is your will be done.
Yeah.
Right? It's the acknowledgement. It's not the way I would think, not the way that I would make it happen, not the way that I would want to go about doing it. But if I'm really following line with the Missio Dei, the mission of God, as a sent one, because that's still a really important concept. We're really going to hammer that the rest of this month. Is like this idea of being the sent one. I'm the ambassador speaking on behalf of God. I can't say anything more or less than what he wants me to say. How do I know what he's saying? By leaning into him, right? Yeah. Or listening to him, or longing for him, or seeking for him. How can I know the master's voice unless I'm where the master speaks?
How do you know? Like, how do you know you can hear the master's voice now and you're in the middle of your Missio Dei doing what God has asked you to do?
I mean, gee, that's a really good question. How do I know I'm actually hearing God's voice? Well, so what are the ways in which we hear God's voice?
So like in prayer.
So prayer is a good one. Have you ever felt like you've prayed and God hasn't answered?
Have I ever felt like?
Yeah. Never? You're such a better Christian than I will ever be. Me and Jordan are both like, yeah, I feel that all the time. Right? Like, have you ever felt like God, or have you ever felt in prayer, is God even hearing me? If you've never felt that, praise be to Jesus.
I mean, like if it's like a dumb prayer and I'm like, Lord, let this be a good grade, and it's not a good grade.
No, I'm saying like, have you ever prayed and just felt like, not that your prayer was hitting the roof, but it just like, am I praying the right thing?
Yeah.
Every time out loud.
All right. So prayer
out loud.
Yeah, in a setting of
group, people.
Every time I'm like, yeah, no way.
Yeah. So like God can deliver actions. Your grandfather has a really cool testimony of hearing God's actual voice. True facts. I have never heard God's audible voice. Frankly, because I think if I did, I'd poop myself. With that though, what's another way that we know that God speaks?
Because I think, sorry, maybe getting off topic, but I think when I did the Enneagram, sorry to bring up the Enneagram, but
We're okay
Just-
with Christian horoscopes. It's
just like when you look at the different sections of the Enneagram, there you hear God in
Sure.
different ways: the
Sure.
head, the heart, and I can't remember the third one is. There's 3 different ways that a lot of people have.
I won't speak to any
Yeah.
like I know that. I haven't
Yeah.
spent enough time just studying
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So scripture also speaks about this concept of, having some voices in your life that
Yeah.
affirm things, but they're trusted voices. They're not just random voices.
yeah,
Trusted voices that can speak truthfully and honestly to you. I'm still a big proponent. There may be some people that are watching that don't come from a theological background or a theological belief of the Holy Spirit. John 15, 16, 17, Jesus talks about the Paraclete, his spirit being a part of our life,
yeah.
who will direct us and give us traffic, also correct us and
Mhm.
give us rebuke. And so we believe the Holy Spirit speaks to us and reveals to us direction. Giovanna, when we're talking about the Missio Dei, how do I figure that out?
Mhm.
I think it's all of it, right? So, like, if you felt like God called you to be a circus clown, right? Are circuses even a thing anymore?
In other countries, probably.
Yes.
Okay,
And,
all right. I can assure you there would be some people in your life that would be like, no,
yes.
yes. But if you could provide like, hey, I feel like God is leading me to be a circus clown, to minister to those who are on the fringes of society and feel rejected by people overall,
Yeah.
and you felt like that was the Missio Dei that God was placing in your heart, like I think through prayer, I think through reading his word, I think through the counsel of others, we could probably come to an agreement. Okay, I may disagree with it, but
Yeah.
circus people need witness too.
Right.
Right? They need somebody with a Christ image that represents Jesus to them. And why couldn't God be calling you to be a circus clown?
Oh.
Right? Now, on the outward, it looks crazy, but at some point, a missionary was told he was crazy for doing X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
Right? We've got good friends, right, that are in countries right now that are being bombed in the Israel USA war right now. We've got
Yeah.
friends that are currently could be bombed tonight, right? Are they crazy? Or are they living out the Missio Dei?
Yeah.
Is the Missio Dei safe?
No,
Is the Missio Dei easy?
no,
Is the Missio Dei cheap?
no.
But if it's not safe and it's not easy and it's not cheap, who's responsible for it? So if he's actually called you to it, won't he make a way for it?
Yeah.
Which I think is some of the disconnect. You mentioned a while ago, like, I'm trying to get into a college and all the doors are being shut. How many times have we pushed our way past very clear, like, God's got to handle that, and I've just bulldozed, no, I got to make it happen.
Right.
And we get upset that it was hard and it was harder than it needed to be. Well, did God actually put some stop gaps along the way and you just pushed your way through?
Mhm.
Right? He was wanting you to deal with something, or he's wanting you to address something, or he's wanting you to think about something or reflect on something, but we just go headstrong into it. And God's like, well, I've given you will. I'll let you choose. Right? But are you close enough to hear what I'm having to say? Are you worshiping? Are you being radically obedient to the thing that I'm asking you? And if you are, I think the Missio Dei lines up pretty clear. In John chapter 17, this is the final prayer. There are some theologians that believe that this prayer lines up with what a priest would pray right before they sacrificed an animal. This is like the final prayer that Jesus prays with his disciples before he goes to the Garden of Gethsemane. He's arrested, and put on a sham trial and eventually is crucified, right? In this prayer, he is making a very specific request that they not only acknowledge that he's been sent by the Father, but they also acknowledge that they're now being sent themselves. That anybody coming to the saving knowledge of Jesus is because they have voiced it, because he's charging them to say it, right? In all of our lives, there's this prayer that's been prayed over. God has prayed a prayer. Jesus has prayed a prayer over us that he's entrusted us as sent ones, that he's entrusted us to deliver the message, the good news of Jesus Christ. Luke chapter 4, what is he here for? To bring peace, to set free the captive, to preach the good news of who God is, right? All of us have been entrusted with that message. We're now the sent ones. How we do that? That's his mission for us as individuals, as a unique identity, as you pointed out, a unique thing that God only wants you to do. And he is responsible for how it gets done, right? And that's probably the hardest part. All right, with all that, do you got any more questions?
No.
Anything from Sunday that you're like, hey, I need some clarity on?
No.
Anything from you, Jordan?
You mentioned a while back, because kind of like when we were talking about circus clowns and things like that. So how as a, as a parent,
Yeah.
if that comes about, how is it kind of like, how would you say?
So how would I direct the conversation?
No, just how would you
Let go?
Let go.
So Julie and I have taken Julie is my wife, Gigi's mom. She looks like Gigi, or Gigi looks like her. Yeah, it's true. We got another child who looks exactly like me but acts like her mom. It's crazy.
Oh my
Goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Why are you laughing? It's true, right? It's true. It's so true. Maybe she'll be on the podcast one day. The other child, not Julie. Julie won't be on the podcast. How do we let go? I think I am a really firm believer that Scripture works, right? So Genesis chapter 3, God sets in motion what true marriage should look like between a man and a woman, and they will leave their father and mother and they become one.
Yeah.
That leave and cleave idea, Jesus reinforces this in Matthew. He will leave his mother and father and he'll cleave to his wife. They'll become one. I have a very keen awareness that my children are leaving, right? You know that. Yeah. And I have a very keen awareness that they're not my favorite. Well, now, why'd you do that?
Because it's true.
Right? Who's my favorite?
Mom.
So my favorite person in the world is my wife, right? Now, they come in a really close second, right? But if my wife is my favorite, then I acknowledge that their life is going to take separate channels than what I intend, right? So I've already set up, before we ever had kids, I had already established in my heart, they're not going to be the most important thing. So they're going to disappoint me. They're going to let me down. They're going to do dumb things. They're going to say stupid things. I've already told myself I am not going to be overwhelmed when they do those things, right? Now, when my wife lets me down or my wife says something dumb or my wife like that, those hurt because she's my favorite. But truthfully, Jesus should be the most important thing in my life. And so even when she looks me down, I shouldn't be overwhelmed, right? But with my kids, it's even lower down on totem pole. Okay, she did something dumb. She's a kid. She did something dumb. The bigger question I think you're asking is, how do we handle it when our kids come and ask us something that is so out of left field? Like who do you think you are? Or how is that even possible?
Yeah.
Right. I think as a parent, you need to ask clarifying questions.
Where are you getting this from?
Yeah. So, you've told me you want to be a circus clown. Why do you want to be a circus clown? Well, I want to travel the world. Well, you could be an executive of a Fortune 500 company and travel the world. So why is being a circus clown most important? Well, I feel like I need to bring people humor through laughs. Okay, well, you could be a comedian and have like work really hard at communicating really well, other than being a circus clown. Well, I don't want to be found in places that are inappropriate, and so I really want to work in circuses where children are at and show them the love of Jesus. Well, then I've asked clarifying questions that the heart of the issue is still about Jesus, not about selfish. Now,
Yeah.
if the question is, I want to be a circus clown so I can avoid the world, well, what do you mean you need to avoid the world? Well, I feel like everybody sucks. Hey, everybody does suck. Why do you feel right now like? And so now the heart of the issue is something totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for most parents, Gigi, you need to speak to this. Are
Yeah.
most parents afraid to ask their kid the question?
Yeah,
Why?
because we're intimidating. We're so scary. What?
I'm laughing because our 20-year-old kids pastor is laughing. Okay, so for your friends,
Yeah.
do they have honest, open conversations with their parents?
No,
Whose fault is that?
it could be both and.
It could be both and.
But I'm not
Both.
supposed to be the adult, so it's not both.
And
Both.
I think that's the kicker.
It's not both.
It's still both, though.
Yeah, but why
But
do
who's
I?
called to be the adult?
Well, the parents, but it's up because you can
It's-
you can ask the qualifying questions, but it's still if I'm the 16-year-old, it's still up to me if I want to open up.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
but-
may be true,
but
but
I-
like I don't give up.
Yeah.
I can't open up until you ask.
Like I'm just enough of a bulldog. Like I got two kids.
No, I take you down, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't.
I got two kids. One will give me very short, terse answers. I got another kid that like her whole world is lived in front of me in every waking moment, and it's not this kid, right? So like I've got to ask very clear questions, and then I've got to sit in the awkwardness of the silence as a parent.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is
The waiting.
The waiting, right? Again, I can't force her to answer me,
Yeah.
but I can sure make it awkward for her.
What are you gonna say? When are you gonna say it?
Like just the, hey, where are we at? What's going on? And then just wait. And I am a firm believer most students are intimidated by their parents as well. Right? And somebody's going to give in.
Yeah.
Do parents have the mental fortitude to have that, for lack of a better term, war?
No.
Depends on the day.
I mean, dad's worked a 40-hour shift, mom's worked a 40-hour shift. They're coming home, kids are begging for things. You've got more than two kids. It is in and of itself a war itself. I mean, I hand it to parents. It's tough. It is absolutely hard to be a parent. But you, as the parent, have to understand the calling that God has entrusted you with that kid.
Yeah.
Like the missio Dei for your life is God has entrusted you with that individual to lead them closer to Christ. And with that responsibility, understanding that I have the sentness, the apostleship of being sent by Christ to raise this kid, everything I do either represents him or doesn't. And that can be burdensome. But again, if we take up his burden, for it's easy and like his yoke, it's understanding that when I'm yoked to Jesus, like he's doing the hard work. He's doing the major pushing and the major pulling, but I've got to be close enough to him. So me asking my child, hey, why do you feel about X, or what is it about this, right? That is a Jesus thing. Jesus asks questions all the time. And can it be hard? Yes. Is it easy? No. Is it the right thing? Yeah. And can I be okay with that's the calling in the moment that we're in? Toughest question I ever asked you?
What exactly do you want me to say?
You say whatever you want. Do I ask you tough questions?
Oh yeah.
Can you give me a recent conversation you wouldn't mind sharing? Like toughest question recently?
Are you happy here?
Yeah. Which is really more about the acknowledgement is, do you feel like you're doing the things God's placed in front of you to do? Can you survive the next 18 months? Right? Am I doing everything as a father that you need me to do? Like those are really tough conversations that no one wants to have.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want my daughter to tell me she hates living in our house, but I got to be open to the possibility of hearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clarifying question.
What do you mean?
You have anything
clarifying
for me?
question?
Like you want to put me on the spot since I just put you on the spot?
Okay. So like a parent who like the child is like my age
Yeah.
and the parents are new to Christ.
Yeah.
And the kid is new to Christ.
Yeah.
How does that parent help the kid understand that they're trying to walk with them and lead them in a different direction without the kid feeling like, no, you're just hurting the plan God has for me? Like, how did those two meet in the middle if the parent has never been asking questions?
Why'd you raise your hand? You're counting down, so I just want to make sure we're good on camera. Okay. No, you're good. So how do we bridge the gap? They're both newly saved. How does a parent who's never asked the question ask the question?
Mhm.
What am I communicating to that parent?
Yeah.
Start.
Right. But like the kid is already almost not an adult, but like a pre-adult, a young adult.
Yeah, I
And
still contend nothing's forsaken. Start.
yeah, but they're like, yes, that's a Sunday school answer. Just start, make it happen. But like parents are afraid.
Yeah,
And the
but
kid
like,
watched them mess up as a
sure.
parent.
I think the other side of that also is the start part is also acknowledging they haven't been perfect,
Mhm.
right? Like you may not say this. Your mom has said it to me privately. Now I'm throwing it for the whole internet to hear. One of her favorite things I say to you and your sister is, I'm sorry. Right? Like you may not think too much of it.
But one of us hates it.
Yeah, one of you do. But that has to do with like these idea like dad got it wrong. But because I'm sorry, and I can start from that place of I ain't got this figured out either. We're gonna work this thing together. I think for a parent who's newly saved, I think coming out outright and saying, "Hey, I've missed it. I haven't always hit the mark, but we're trying moving forward to have some honest conversations. And so I'm gonna ask hard questions." And the kid might go, "Well, you've never done this before." You're right. Everything we did BC before Christ was probably wrong, right?
Mhm.
Now, after Christ, right? Like we're going to try to do it the Bible way, and so we're going to have conversations with parents. Well, I'm leaving in 2 years, anyways. That's awesome. You can leave in 2 years. I allow you. I give you the freedom. I bless you to leave. But while we're in this home, for me and my house, we're gonna serve the Lord, and we're gonna have hard conversations because I love you enough to have them. Right? That's where a parent has to start. Not saying like I've been perfect the whole time. No, I've made royal mistakes and I've messed this up, but I'm going to do my best to from this moment forward to have the conversation. And then just doing it, right? You see your kids having a bad day, ask, "Why are you having a bad day?" "It just sucked." "What do you mean it just sucked?" "Well, it just wasn't cool in class." "Well, what wasn't cool in class?" Asking the clarifying question, I think, is really important, and not just letting it be. Does that help?
Yeah.
At this time, we've got a reactionary video, and we'll have a conversation about it.
What do you tell these kids that come out at Highlands with their, they're excited, they're getting ready to launch the very first thing? I'm not pretending like you call all of them in your office, but if you sent every graduate of Highlands College with a 15-minute sort of sit in your office, let me pep you up real quick, here's what you're going to do, here's what you're not going to do. What is that? How would that conversation go?
Yeah, the first thing I would tell them is your training is really just begun. Jesus didn't start till 30. Don't think you can either. So now you need to probably graduate and you need to go serve a ministry and consider yourself still learning at least till 30 years old.
Jesus didn't start till 30, so you can't either.
You really, yeah. What was Jesus doing at 29? I'll tell you. It's only one verse, Luke 2:52. He was still growing in wisdom, stature, favor with God.
Right.
There's only one verse from 12 to 30.
Right.
Okay. That's
long gap.
And that's it. Okay. And so, and I always tell people the same thing. You don't need to know what you're going to do. I always say you don't need to know. You need to grow. You need to graduate and say, I'm going to go now serve a pastor, and I'm going to keep learning and keep growing, keep asking questions, keep observing things. I said when I was 23 years old, I thought I was going to be a missionary to France. I said at 30, I'd never be a senior pastor. That's how much you don't know.
All right, so what am I supposed to remark here? What a good word. You disagree?
Yeah.
All right, tell me why.
Yeah. So I mean along the lines of the Missio Dei is just how are we going to say that someone who's 23 cannot lead a church? Because that's what he's saying is
I didn't
to
hear that.
that's what I took.
I understand why
that-
you would hear that.
Like if you're not like you can't be in my position until you're like 30 or above.
Well, let's
That's
be
what I heard.
clear. Like he's no longer the pastor of the
Yeah.
church. He is now the director of their college, and then their youth pastor / young adult pastor is now the pastor of the church. So
Yeah.
it's really cool transition. We, meaning Pentecostals, do not like to talk about Jesus' obscurity.
Mhm.
Right? We
Yeah.
do not talk about 12 to 30.
Him just being a carpenter.
Him just being. Now, that book,
Yeah.
it actually addresses some of that.
does.
Alicia Bricholi, probably 20 years ago, I was in an MK ski retreat, Thanksgiving of 2004. That's how important. She preached a message about the obscurity and how important it is to our life and relationship with God.
Yeah.
Right? I think Chris Hodges is speaking from a position where they've got thousands of people attending their church. They got hundreds of students a part of their leadership college. And every one of those students, maybe that's extreme language. I hate using the word everything and everyone. Most of those students in a leadership college assume they're going to get a church just like Church of the Highlands.
Well, for sure.
Right.
I went to a leadership college.
You did. You're trained in the leadership of that leadership college.
Yep.
And the reality of ministry is the average church in America is 75.
Mm-hmm.
The average youth ministry in America is 15. Right? Can you live in the Missio Dei that is what God has called you to?
Are you asking me?
That's a real question.
Yeah. I can. I think I can. But
could God be calling you to more? And how do you know how to handle more until you handle the obscurity?
hey, you have to be faithful with little.
Yeah. So that's where I'm saying, like, the 20, I can understand your pushback. 23 can't lead a church. I'm not saying a 23-year-old can't lead a church.
Yeah.
But Darrell Wooten, Dr. Darrell Wooten has a really famous quote about how do you determine success in ministry? It's longevity and integrity.
Yeah.
Right? True success is only determined by longevity and integrity. And a 23-year-old out of Bible school or out of a leadership college pastoring 1,000 people, well, how successful is he? Or is he just really energetic? Is he a really good communicator? Because that isn't actually what Jesus determines as success. And I think that's the other misnomer of, at least in the Christian circles that we're in, or at least the world in which we live today, we have determined success by large in part numbers. But Jesus' ministry is not founded even in numbers. Like, did they have thousands of people show up? Yeah, but by the end of his ministry, he only had a handful. And let's be really clear, like, even at the most important moment of his entire ministry, the crucifixion, there's only one and then some women.
Mm-hmm.
My Reformed brothers don't like to talk about that. The most loyal ones are the women.
Yeah. The one who Jesus loved.
And then, right, you go to the Acts, there's at least 500 people that have seen Jesus after his resurrection.
Yeah.
You think the church would be hopping and popping. There's 120 maybe in the upper room.
Yeah.
So if you go from 500 to 120 in like a 50-day span, you're probably getting fired as a pastor,
Got rid of one of them sacred cows.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can make the argument, well, they added 3,000 to the number that day. Yes, and they added to their number daily. Yes, that was after the deliverance of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Right? But if we want to be context, like, let's be honest in context. Jesus, the beginning of his ministry, large crowds. Jesus at the end of the ministry, small crowds.
Mm-hmm.
So real growth happens in the small circles.
Yeah.
Again, that is where I think Chris Hodges is saying, get plugged underneath the pastor. Gigi's going to leave for college. Is she called to ministry? I don't know. That's between, well, I need to rephrase that. Gigi is called to ministry. All of us are called to ministry. All of us are a royal priesthood, a chosen generation, right? All of us have a responsibility to lead other people to Christ. That's what ministry means. Is Gigi called to vocational ministry? I don't know. But I do know wherever she goes, she needs to get plugged in a local church, a pastor that preaches the word, so that she continues to develop into the person, the character that God's called her to be. Can she do that before she's 23? Maybe. But I do think there's something to be said about integrity and longevity that's going to pay the dividend of what God's wanting to do in our life. What was your biggest problem? Like you felt like he's saying you can't be in ministry at all?
No, I felt like he was saying that, like, you've just got to college, learn more, which we should always be learning.
Sure.
But like, when are you going to say, like, when is he going to say to somebody, okay, you've learned, now you can? Like, how is he going to have the...
If you're going to go serve a pastor, does
Yeah.
that not mean that you're also doing the ministry?
You absolutely are.
So I don't think it's either or. I think it's both and.
Mhm.
Right? So serving a pastor is not regulating the ministry to the pastor. It's actually getting involved in the ministry the pastor has set in front of you. So Giovanna, wherever she goes for college, I want her plugged in serving a pastor because she's got to be involved in the ministry. Can she lead a 2,000 member church at 20 years old? Probably not. Maybe God's put that anointing on her. I'm not aware. She's a really good communicator, her and her sister both. Can they handle just interpersonal problems of people? I wake up sometimes and don't like people. So like, it's taken years and years of just like this process of, God, what do you want to do in my life? Right? I think my ministry history says that I believe in young people in ministry. But I was also cautioned, every young person in ministry, don't think you've got it all figured out. Yeah. Not that I want to call you young and dumb, but you're young and dumb, right? And not in the sense of like you're incapable of learning. You just haven't yet. You don't know yet. And I would much rather be considered dumb, not knowing, than obstinate, knowing and choosing not to do. And I think those are vastly different things. You don't know what you don't know. I'm still finding things I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. That's the process of growth. I want to grow. And he listed a really important verse that I pray often over my daughters, that they would find favor with God and favor with man. Like, that's time. You only get favor with God and favor with man through time. And that, I think, is the point by which we actually grow as individuals, that we understand that God's blessing us, and then he's also given me opportunity to be blessed by others if I place myself in the opportunity to be blessed. Hey, thanks for watching the Press On podcast. This moment, everybody needs a dad. We look forward to you. Click on subscribing. We'd love for you to be part of our network more often we do this. God bless. Have a great week.